Hey, we're back. Welcome to Pour Over Marketing. I am Rob Southgate, and it's been a couple of weeks. The holidays derailed us, moving my mom and uh, working. All these things derailed us a little bit, but we're back, and it's going to be a regular schedule. I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I have started doing the things that I said I would do last year, which is just a few weeks ago, where I said I was going to start trying to grow this. The Substack for Pour Over has kicked in to gear. I've started posting. I've also started posting to the Mic Drop Substack. And as we get into this, when we get a little bit further in and hopefully have some viewers, I want to talk about an idea that we're going to use with Substack because I am a big fan, and I think it's a really viable platform. So, hope everybody had a great holiday. Got a new mug. Molly got it for us. It's actually a family present, but I'm absconding with it today. It's a Wilco mug. So, new mug, new me. So there's been a lot of news over the last couple of weeks. Shocker, right? There's always a lot of news. But the big news has been on the social media front, stuff that we're concerned with in the moment. Number one, it looks like TikTok is, for the time being, going away. And if you pay attention to how these things work, when something goes away like that, when a social media platform goes away, something fills the void. And typically, it's not coming back. Or if it does, it doesn't come back nearly as strong. This could be the end of the TikTok era, which is kind of funny because it feels like it just began. It feels like marketers are just starting to utilize it and understand the power of it. But there were also some things to be wary of with it. And one thing that I was noticing from watching TikTok videos, it seems like some of the, while there's a lot of video creativity going on, a lot of the non-formulaic stuff was starting to evaporate. It was becoming patterns, things that if you do X, X will happen. And that makes it a much less exciting platform. This happened with YouTube as well. It's happened with just about every platform at some point, where people think they've got it all figured out, and then everyone starts falling in line and doing the same thing. TikTok, I mean, yeah, there's still a lot of cool stuff that was going on, but I was noticing, like, there was a marketing professor that I liked on there. And when he started, he was doing the things that looked like everybody else's things. You know, it had the graphics, it had him talking to the camera a certain way. It did all the things, all the boxes were checked that you're supposed to do. And what happened over time was I noticed him do something different, or he kind of leaned into what he does. So he had a whiteboard behind him, and he would say, okay, we're going to talk about how to make the best out of your Instagram. And on the whiteboard, he would have, almost like it was a PowerPoint, he'd have like 5 things listed. And in each short segment, he'd go, okay, this is what this is. And he'd talk about it. And then he'd go to the next one, go, okay, this is what this is. And go to the next one. And it was no frills. Lighting was fine. He looked like a professor. I mean, whatever that looks like. He didn't look like a YouTuber in his yoga pants trying to dance to everything. And that changed what he was doing. It was interesting for me to watch. Is he going to get him, 10 million views? No. That's when all that formula stuff starts to kick in. So if that's your only goal, well, then sure, follow the trends, follow the formulas. But what he was doing was interesting. And he had a fair amount of followers. And there were a lot of people that, as you know, want to learn a little bit about marketing. They want to learn a little bit of things they can do on a grassroots level, even if it's just how to write the bio on your Instagram. And that's what he was doing. He stopped with all the, I'm going to dance for part of this. I'm going to point at headlines. I'm going to do, marketing book reveal, dun, dun, bum, 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 whatever TikTok thing it was. Uh, yeah, some of that stuff can be fun, and it is worth doing some of that, but he also was breaking the form. And I think that what I was experiencing lately was it seemed like there was a lot of form going on. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. Something will fill the void. I know that I thought that Instagram was poised to take that because Reels had gotten so popular. And Facebook Reels, while popular, were not as popular as the Instagram stuff, even though they're all meta and they were all the same thing. So if I made a video on Instagram, I could have it pushed to Facebook and it was the same content. But for some reason on Instagram, it got a lot more engagement, a lot more interest. Same thing with TikTok. If it went to TikTok first and then you pushed it, the TikTok stuff seemed to blow up a lot bigger. If you did it on Instagram and threw it to TikTok, the TikTok stuff seemed to gather more attention. So Facebook was kind of the lesser of the three. So I thought Instagram was going to be the natural heir, but news item number 2. See, I've added music in the new year. Mark Zuckerberg announced that he was taking basically the guardrails off of Meta. And I wrote a whole article about this on the Pour Over Marketing blog that's on Substack. So I highly recommend checking it out. It's just a very short piece, but it gets you thinking. It's gotten shared quite a bit. It gets you thinking about this because we're not getting into the politics of any of this. But what Zuckerberg announced is Meta is going to, like I said, take the guardrails off. There's going to be no more fact checking. So basically, that means I can go on to Facebook and say, this is the number one show. And let's pick some names. Brad Pitt, Sabrina Carpenter, and Mimi Shepard all say this is the number one show. And guess what? I can now say that because there's no fact checking and it doesn't matter. This is a horrible space to be in. When that stuff is gone, the problem is not only misinformation, not only are people going to get snowed on things, but think about it. Think how mad you get if you get a bait and switch. Hey, we've got glasses on sale, buy one, get one free. And then you get in there and you find out the free ones aren't actually glasses. They are plastic toys, right? And you go, that's a bait and switch. Not having fact checking basically makes everything a bait and switch or the potential to be. So from a marketing standpoint, it becomes worthless, which when we say that, what we're talking about is 3 things. We're talking about Instagram and Facebook, which is what's getting all the attention, but also Threads. All 3 of them now are untrustworthy. And from a marketing standpoint, that's a terrible space. It happened with Twitter because X is untrustworthy. You may still be doing things on X, but here's the deal. Marketers that I know, people that are trying to figure out their social media strategy and all that, are staying clear of X. It's toxic. Same thing is going to happen to the Meta Suite. It already had, some tarnish here and there, but there were things I liked. I've talked about it on here a lot. Even this show, doing this on Facebook Live, like it's streaming to my Facebook page, I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't know how long I'm going to want it to be here. This is going to be a dilemma for you that are marketing out there. Now, I'm not sounding the alarm. I don't want you to think, oh my God, I put all my eggs into the social media basket and that's where else am I going to advertise? Well, that's the point. It's what I've been talking about since this show started. You can't put all your eggs in the one basket, especially in these social media platforms. They come and go. They get toxic. People lose interest in it. Think about it. If you go back years ago, MySpace was amazing. Taylor Swift became Taylor Swift because of MySpace. She had this amazing ability to work MySpace and engage with audience and build and build and build so that by the time she's out there in the world with her, big record deal and all that, she has followers that are rabid because of that original way that she worked MySpace. So you as a marketer think, wow, MySpace, amazing, right? But not. It's gone. I mean, it might be out there. I don't know. Let's type in MySpace and see if there's even a space anymore. Or I could type in MySpace, which is what I just did. Yeah, MySpace is still out there. Still out there. Still trying to do the same things. Interesting. So, are you using it? Are you using it in your strategy? No. Dead platform for you. My prediction, that's what's about to happen with the Meta stuff. It's about to happen with TikTok. I am not sounding the alarm, being the voice of doom over all this. It's giving us all a reality check into how it works. When we were doing live at the Blue Box, we were one of the first that did any type of live podcasting. I think we were in a handful. If there were 5 of us, I think I might be overestimating. And one of the things we did to jump ahead of the others was we were the very first that streamed on Twitch that wasn't video game related, to the point that we got a message from them and we had to talk to them because they were like, wait, this isn't video game, but it's cool. What is this? And it was after we did that they added that entertainment category. Now, it's interesting. We never got any traction on Twitch, but it was because of how we used it that they reached out and said, what is this? This is interesting. There was also a thing called Periscope. There was a thing called Meerkat. These were places you could stream live video. YouTube wasn't doing it yet. TikTok didn't exist. Instagram, Facebook didn't have live streaming. But Meerkat and Periscope, you could. Now go back even further. That's when like Vimeo first started up and Vines were a thing. Remember, Vines was the TikTok of its time. Everybody jumped on the Vines thing for a bit. Every creator. Every marketer tried to figure out, how do we use Vines? They did it with Snapchat too. How do we use Snapchat? They come and go. They might still be out there. Snapchat's still out there. Vines, I don't. Here we go. Let's see if Vines is still even a thing. Yep. Still out there. Nope. They placed it in an archive state. So MySpace still exists, but Vine gone. But it was supplanted by TikTok and all these other things. We're going to be there again. So basically, if your strategy has been, okay, I'm doing this stuff that Rob's been talking about with the Facebook groups, I'm going to have my 2 things, and it's going to be Facebook and Instagram. And as soon as Threads gets live on Meta, I'm going to throw Threads into the mix because it's easy. Great. Don't stop. Just be aware. These things come and go. It's good to have a social media strategy. It's good to know the different platforms. And it's also good to move where the food is. That's what I always talk about. Go where the food is. Right? If there are people there, go there. So if Snapchat all of a sudden became super hot, right now, it's still used with young people, right? So if what you have, you want to market it to those young people, maybe it is worth figuring out, how can I use Snapchat? And I tell you what, if you figure it out, let me know, because the only time I've seen it done properly was Taco Bell did it for a little bit. And it was actually, I was like, oh, they figured it out. They're doing it. And I don't think it garnered anything for them. I think they figured out how to market with it, but I think it was a platform that wasn't worth marketing on. Right? So as a marketer with your entrepreneurial business, whatever it is, you're a writer, you're a house painter, you're whatever. restaurateur. Look at your marketing. Look at your strategy, and you've got to go back to this show in July when we did Integrated Marketing Palooza. Go to there and figure out, okay, if I'm doing integrated marketing and I'm trying to go through all my platforms, what are the platforms I can do this from? Guess what? Meta, those three things. TikTok, yeah, those you were thinking were categories. No, they go under one category, which is social media. Then you have strategies and things within those. But that's one of your categories. Well, that's not dead. That category is not dead. So you're still going to use it. It's still going to be powerful for you. It's just you might have to move. So where the food is, move where the fish are. You want to move where the fish are, right? If you're fishing and you're at this spot that you're like, it's amazing, every box is checked, this is where the fish will be biting, and nobody's biting. And then you look over here, 100 feet away, and there's a guy sitting there just pulling fish out. Guess what? You want to move where he is. Because even though all the rules say you're in the right spot, he's in the right spot. Same thing with this. Okay? So Facebook, Instagram, I'm really kind of surprised that they've made this move with taking the guardrails off, because it antagonizes people to the point that, like, the people that want the guardrails off, that want the fact checking off, are because they don't want to use facts. They want to spread misinformation to try to gain. Well, I don't want that. I don't want to be exposed to that. That doesn't help. And that's why you're going to see an exodus. I'm already seeing it. I can't tell you how many friends I've seen on posting things about how, find me over at Blue Sky, I'm done here. And I'm like, wow, you jumped ship before this even like started to unfold. But you know what? That's the reality. And if you, as a marketer, should say, I'm going to dig in. I saw a comment. My friend posted, he's a celebrity, and he posted that he's off of all the meta stuff. He's going just to Blue Sky, which from his marketing team, they might have gone like, oh, no, don't do that. You've got people here. Yeah, but you know what? He's saying, yeah, but this is going to be a cesspool, and I don't want my stuff in there. Over here, I'm safer, and my audience can come with me, and they're safer. I like that, right? Oh, I had a good point with that, but I started reading what Gordon wrote. I'll share what Gordon wrote in just a second. So he's one of them, though. I saw him making the move. And what that tells me is, I was talking about the comments in there. There were people saying, no, tough it out. Be the resistance. You can't move out because the bad guy moves in. And it's like, yeah, but I don't need to go up in flames because of their decisions. I need to go where the fish are, or create a new pond that's safe. I'm not going to lecture about this. I just wanted to give that idea so you guys understand, like, you want to think about these things and how you do it. Like, I'm making sure that anything X from all the podcast accounts we have, they're shut down. Because what have I noticed? We're not posting on there, and it's dead. And then I tried posting some stuff that was good content, and it got no traction. It's not because the audience wasn't there. It still said I had all the subscribers. It's like, okay, I used the hashtags. I did the stuff. It's not doing anything because people aren't there. Their accounts are there, but they're not there. Okay, let's see what Gordon said, and then we're going to get into the big point here. Part of good marketing strategy should answer one question: where is your audience? I've seen too many marketers encourage moving towards the hot channels like TikTok rather than think, is who I need to reach on TikTok. You are so right, Gordon. You are so right. Is the TikTok format something you should explore? Yes, because video outshines text all day long. So the idea, like, hey, there is something to this. find where you can utilize it. And that doesn't mean it's a social media thing, right? This actually goes into that next part I was going to talk about. It's going to sound like a broken record. I've said it forever, but now it's proving out. When you're developing your strategy, you need to be thinking about what can go away and what can't. So I talk about Substack a lot. I love Substack, right? I'm writing a blog there. The blog automatically pushes for me to MailChimp, can push to whatever mail service you're using, and it pushes it out to followers. It is almost like social media blogging because you write these things. You're not playing games with them. There are things you can do to increase, but it's not like following trends or anything. Although I shouldn't say that. You could follow topic trends or trend topics. Trending topics? I'll get there eventually. But it's a very different animal. And the reason I say, hey, this is the kind of thing you should be looking at. So I write a Substack. There are people then that subscribe to it. I now have their email addresses. Guess what doesn't go away? You can cancel your email. You can get out of it. You can opt out. I like that. Gives you the power to opt out. Go try to shut down your Facebook page. See how easy it is to opt out of that. Spoiler, it's not. But email, sure. But it doesn't go away. So let's say Substack goes the way of X. Well, first of all, I wrote all my blog pieces and I kept them in my drive, right? So I still have all that content. Whereas with some of these others, you create it, you put it on, and then you're like, oh, I made this really cool thing and it's gone forever because that platform folded. Meerkat, Periscope, they were streaming video services that we were using every week, and they're gone. They're gone. And the video that we made on there, not true, because we did it on other things and recorded it. We recorded the video, so we have it. But if we hadn't done that, which is what a lot of people did, they just streamed it, it's gone. Well, that kind of sucks. Because is that content that you could use now? Is that something valuable that you could be working with? I just posted a video of this on the Substack yesterday. And it was back when I interviewed Alex Teplish. That was like, at this point, like, I don't know, 8 months ago? It's getting hits. It's getting hits. I'm getting comments about it. It's 8-month-old video. But because it exists and because I repurposed it, it's working for me again. I didn't have to create something new. I had something really cool that was a little older. Am I still creating new? Yeah, absolutely. If that stuff had gone away, if I had done it on Periscope or Vine, gone. Getting emails don't go away. So if you write a Substack or you have a newsletter, and your purpose then is, I want to grow my audience, I want to get email subscribers. Now your strategy is a little bit different. You're gathering those emails, and now you have a forever marketing avenue. Well, forever. Then people will say, but what if the entire internet collapses? Okay. We got bigger problems if that happens. If you have those emails, you own those emails. Okay. Unless they opt out, then you have to give up the rights to them. But like you run a sweepstakes, you get all these email addresses, you throw them in as a file in your MailChimp. You can take that entire MailChimp email address folder and download it to yourself, and you have it. It's yours. And you can forever, because these people have opted in and they have not opted out, you now have permission to sell to them. And I want to be clear about that. I just actually had this lecture with my class. I just did my first class the other day and we got into this. It's all about professional selling. And I told them how I work for a publisher and blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, so does anybody like the idea of newsletters and email marketing? And they're like, yeah, it's old. I'm like, okay. So I'm a writer. I've got my book. Okay. Ooh, I'll do more than hypothetical. I'm a writer. I've got my book. You can order it on Amazon. Pod Life. Look up Pod Life by Rob Southgate or by Maeve Southgate. Might say Martha Southgate on it. Type in Pod Life Southgate, and you will find this book. Buy it on Amazon. So I've got my book, right? And I fell into marketing there. I lost what I was saying. I lost the thread. I'll come back to it. I lost it. Sorry, guys. Things happen. Yeah, I can't remember what it was. I had a really good way of doing that I was going to share that I said to my class the other day. See what happens? See? This is the other nice thing about video. I can edit it out, which I don't, but I could. So anyway, I know what it was. So I've got my book, and I have my blog, and I'm writing my blog, and on there I'm promoting this book, right? And what is happening? I get people that subscribe. I get people that are in there. And eventually, let's say 30% that are in there buy the book. That's awesome, right? What do they do on week 2? I can't sell them the same book. They already bought the book. I can advertise it again later and say, hey, if you know a podcast fan, have them buy my book. But I can't keep going back to that well to sell them the same book. So that's when you get smart. You now own this email list. You now have this newsletter. You have this Substack, and you start saying, are there affiliate links I can do? What can I sell to them? Can they buy my coaching? Can they buy? I talked about a weighted blanket. Maybe I can get that from Amazon, get the affiliate link and put it in there, and they know, or I can make an ad and put it on there for the weighted blanket. I'll tell you the funniest one that happened. I don't know if you guys remember back when it was a blog spot. Back when people were first trying to figure out how to do blogging, right? I want to say it was Blogspot. I had one, and I wrote only like 3 or 4 blog posts because we were stabbing at how this works and what it is. And I wrote one all about cutting off my finger and how it happened with a snowblower. And don't go looking for these if they're out there still, because I was like trying to write them and have personality and be a little bit funny, and I think that fails. I think I tend to if I don't just write the way I talk, it comes off as I'm trying too hard with trying to be funny, or I come off a little harsh. And I think those came off like trying to be funny or too harsh. That's why I only did like 3. But I wrote this one about cutting my finger off with a snowblower. And here's the funny thing. The way Blogspot worked, the affiliate marketing of that didn't exist. All that was really out there was AdSense, and AdSense wasn't something you could do through you. Like I have an AdSense account, so I can go in and I can embed an AdSense thing on my blog, on my website, embed that code. And have you ever noticed you're reading a blog and there'll be an ad for winter gear because it's winter? You're like, oh, the blog post's not really about that, but oh, it's winter. So this ad pops up. And if you look, there's a little tiny blue thing that says AdSense, a little arrow. Basically, they've embedded AdSense code in there. If anything sells from somebody, if you click on that link, they might get something. If somebody buys, they might get something. Okay. AdSense doesn't just appear out of nowhere. The code has been embedded. But back then with Blogspot, it was Blogspot that had the AdSense stuff. So you could opt in and say, yeah, you can have advertising on my blog, because it made sense. Like, oh, if I do this advertising, maybe they'll promote my blog more. So, okay. So I had AdSense on this blog post about me cutting my finger off with a snowblower. And the ad that showed up and never left was for a snowblower manufacturer. It was amazing. Every time I saw it, I was like, now that's funnier than anything I wrote. But because people subscribed to it and opted in, that advertiser now was in front of them. And because they said, yes, I want to read what you write, it was putting that advertisement in front of them. Now we live in a day where we can control that more. Yeah, we could put AdSense on there where we're getting something. We're getting something. We could put Amazon links. We're getting something. We could put bookshop.org. We could put just about, well, not anything. Lots and lots of companies will have a way of doing affiliate. We had Michael Copeland on here a few weeks ago, and talked all about affiliate marketing. That's what it is. Okay. But if they have signed up for your newsletter, if they've signed up for your Substack, they are giving you permission to continually sell to them. After I've sold them my book, what else do I want to sell them? Start looking at your data. Are the people that are reading my blog, are they podcasters? They bought the book because they're podcasters. Well, maybe I could start doing podcast equipment bundles. Maybe I could advertise a mug I created. Everybody, you can buy that from me now. Ooh, I'll do this one. I love that shot. I love indie podcasts. There you go. So many pitches. One show. So what I'm saying is we have to look at marketing in that integrated way, in that holistic way. If Meta's gone or becomes toxic, which my prediction is we've got a problem. Houston, we have a problem with Meta. And even though it's not going away, it's going to become a valueless or virtually valueless marketing platform for us. I really believe that. So where would I put my eggs? Number one, I would keep a social media strategy. I would keep the social media category and just keep adapting to whatever ones are where the audience is. As Gordon said, where is your audience? Okay, I would keep adapting to that. But I would also go with more bedrock stuff, which is having a newsletter and gathering those emails. Have a website, have a landing page if you can't do a website, and learn how to get keywords in there, learn how to do some SEO for it so that when people are looking for something, rather than I hope my advertisement goes in front of these people, when they look up things that pertain, you're at the top of the list or close to it. Is it competitive? Is it hard? Yeah, it is. I mean, I teach it. It's hard. When we had our baby store 100 years ago, SEO wasn't a thing. Okay. But it had to have been because we put our website up. We had somebody design it. They wanted to charge a lot to do other stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm going to break it. And I got the code. I got in there and figured it out, started making changes. And one of the things that I did was I started putting alt tags on the pictures. I didn't do it because I understood SEO. I did it because I was like, oh, well, if somebody's browser is so slow, they can't see the picture, which things happened like that back then. If there's an alt tag, it'll say picture of a crib by whatever with white bedding and blah, blah, blah. That way, if it popped up and the thing was like going to load, because that's what it used to be like, they might go, I want to see that. They read the description, they want to see it. So that's how I started doing it. But what happened is SEO. The crawler bots from Google and Yahoo, and there was one that I used to love called Dogpile. There were a bunch of them. That was one I used to love. Would see that I had these alt tags, and what ended up happening is because I had all these alt tags for strollers, Chicago, like best strollers for Chicago, I would write on there like, this is the best stroller for Chicago. And all of a sudden, if you typed in stroller, Chicago, city, stroller, we were number one. And I mean, for like 3 years, the number one thing that came up was us on every platform. So SEO wasn't actually a known thing. And it actually might have been not even by design that it was working that way, but it worked. Get knowledgeable about that for what you do. So, Gordon, you've got this, you work with the Doctor Who convention, Chicago TARDIS. I would work on that website. I would work on what can I do to get this SEO up? How do I make a newsletter for it? How do I figure out keywords and tags for that? How do I embed that put that into my website so that more places for things to crawl and grab? And guess what? your marketing efforts way better than putting all your eggs in. But I'm going to have a Facebook group, and my Facebook group is going to attract people. Not as good. If I could ditch everything else and just build an email list, I mean organically, not buying one. That doesn't work. Organically build an email list, put out a good newsletter, and have an SEO optimized website, everything else could go by the wayside. Should it? No. But if you wanted to be bulletproof, that is a way. Now, do I suggest being completely bulletproof with that? No. Stay in there with Facebook groups. Just be careful and be ready to jump when the water turns black. Okay? Stay in there with YouTube. Maybe YouTube. I mean, YouTube did go through its changes. It was super hot for a while, and it's still a hot platform, but how you as a creator make money at it has completely changed. It's really hard. Used to be great. Okay? As a marketing tool, it's different than it was, but still super viable. And if you get used to using that content, here's the other thing. Whoever replaces it, if Vimeo all of a sudden goes, you know what, we're going to be more like YouTube and make it, take these restrictors off and make it more like this. Well, you're already used to making content. You're already used to tagging things and doing whatever. It goes right over there. Right? So the bottom line is things are changing. TikTok looks like it's gone. And when it tries to rise from the ashes, 24 hours might be too late. Okay? But that doesn't mean there's not going to be something like it. Something rises from those ashes, something different. I mean, look what happened to Blue Sky when everything went super toxic for Twitter. It was like overnight, everybody's saying, hey, follow me over on Blue Sky, and you watched it just go crazy. Now, I look at Blue Sky and I think, it just looks like Twitter, but it doesn't have all the toxicity. But it's really kind of the same thing. It's kind of like if you look at these platforms, there seem to be maybe 5 or 6 ways to do it. And as one dies, the next one comes in, and they make some tweaks, and you think it's revolutionary, but in reality, it's the same thing. Meerkat and Periscope, same thing. StreamYard, same thing as Zoom, right? They're all kind of the same thing. But then some do it better than others. StreamYard, I love. So let's go back to that. Let's go back to another option. And this is something that I am going to, I don't know if I'll be able to put it together this quickly. I don't know if I can get it together for next weekend or not. But on Substack, they just released, finally, Substack Live. So what you can do, you're a creator if you have 10 followers or more. Okay? Seems small? Not small. Not when you're starting out. You can now do a live thing like this on your Substack, and it will go push out to everybody that gets your newsletter and gets your stuff. When you read the email they sent out about it, they talk about like some best practices. They've been doing like test marketing this, and they came up with some things. Big thing is collaboration. It's the same thing that made TikTok explode, right? Collaboration. So I've already got a couple of different people that write Substacks that I like, that I'm trying to work out. Hey, let's do a live thing. Like, I do this, and then maybe when this shuts off, I turn on Substack Live and do 10 minutes. Or I do this show, but I have my phone, because you do it with your mobile device. I have my phone sitting here, and I'm doing the show on Substack, but then I can collaborate and I can have guests there. I don't know. I don't know exactly how I'm going to use it, but I'm going to totally use it, to the point that I very well could ditch this format on Facebook. Would I? I don't know. I mean, it depends on how toxic it gets. But I can still have it stream to YouTube. I can still have it stream to whatever. But maybe my strategy goes Substack Live. So now I'm writing an article about all of this and the changing landscape. And then I do a live thing with another person, an expert in whatever, and that just strengthens it. It's building my brand. It's putting the message out there. And oh, by the way, it is a Substack where I can throw some of that advertising in. That's what I want. So follow me on Substack. Follow Pour Over Marketing on Substack. And if you don't know where that is, go to the Facebook page for New Media Lab, which is the host of Pour Over Marketing. And if you go to that, you will see an ad right now that says join the Pour Over Marketing Substack. And while I'm starting to send these episodes out as a newsletter, as well as what I'm writing, which is different. We're going to start adding some of that live stuff. I'm paring down, I'm pruning all these things, right? So that I can focus on this, doing it the most efficient way I can, build audience so that I can actually start helping people. Substack Live might be a real key. Big fan. I'm going to have to look and see if they do any type of affiliate. I don't know if they do. But that's coming, where right now my Substack's free. The next evolution, when I get a few more subscribers, when I get that thing over a certain number, I'm going to go to having a paid tier. And then that's probably where the live stuff will live, is on the paid tier. But not yet. Right now, get it for free. So what do you guys think? Do you think I'm off the mark? Do you think what I'm saying holds value? Because I see this as clearly as I can see the window in front of me over there. But these are predictions as well. What's happening with Meta? Not a prediction. They took the guardrails off, and it's getting terrible press, and he's not backing down. And this is how these platforms become toxic and go away or become irrelevant. The fact that MySpace is still out there just blows my mind. I can't believe that that's still there. Who's using it? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the other place I'd go. I would absolutely develop a Pinterest page. Do it with purpose and do a little research on how to do it right. Because here's the deal with Pinterest. Pinterest is a really great, interesting thing that people can search through, and you can post articles and you can post pictures and whatever. But it's not a normal social media platform. It doesn't operate that same way. At the end of the day, what Pinterest really is kind of another search engine. It's almost like a search engine server. So if you're doing all this stuff that I'm talking about, and then you're adding Pinterest into the mix, and you're linking this stuff together, it gives Google something more to grab onto. So my strategy over time is not only the video content, doing some live stuff through Substack, writing blog and newsletters. Those are the most important to me. But then maybe adding in, well, no, not maybe, adding in Pinterest. But I've got to do some research on how to get that right. And it's, once again, it's not about the trends. It's like, okay, people have been doing this for a long time. It's even Substack. There's a woman who I'm trying to get on the show who wrote this great article about how to make sure you're taking advantage of everything you can on Substack as far as attracting readers and that. Now I read it and I was like, oh, she's right. And she said, I think her thing said she had spent the last 8 months like deep diving on Substack because she felt like this is a viable platform that nobody's talking about how to optimize. So she is. And her stuff she said, I was like, yeah, this makes so much sense. I'm trying to get her on for one of these Substack lives. So pay attention. Stay tuned. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, there are so many different ways you can go about it. If you look at, oh wait, Gordon's writing. If you look at your integrated marketing, and if you look at your grouping of things, look at the categories and figure out what goes in the categories, and if it's a category you need to be at. Chances are really good you do, but it doesn't mean you have to be at everything. Or if you are, like me, I tend to be in all the things. Which are the ones that you want to do the effort on, and which are the ones you want to share to? Okay, let's see. Gordon, I think you're right about your predictions. We'll just end it there. Yeah. I've been rethinking my own marketing as an author consultant and reshaping my strategy, including my own newsletter. Gordon. I also think Pinterest is a very underrated channel for not just search, but driving traffic. You are absolutely right. I've done a terrible job with Pinterest. It's been one that I have never treated with the respect it deserves. Even though I love it, I just didn't. It's a kind of thing. It's an organization thing. I know people like to make their folders and organize their stuff, and that it's something that for me, I get all excited. I go in and I do it for a bit, and then I lose focus on it. Way back, when the network first started, we tried to use Pinterest for the show, and I think we were building something pretty cool, and then we just kind of let it go by the wayside. Now I look at it and I'm like, oh, there's something so much cooler we could have done with that. And you know what? In my list of things that I would like to go back and refurbish, that's one of them. I'll probably go a show at a time and do a Pinterest strategy to see, hey, what can I do with this? Because we still have all the content. We still have all the things. I've been doing it with our YouTube channel, and our YouTube channel numbers are going up. View times are going up. Best thing I'm doing on there is this. My watch time is almost the full episode, like my average. That is huge. Because usually it's like, if you can't get them within 30 seconds, they're gone. My views are sitting at the 45-minute to an hour mark. It's amazing. I love it. That's what I want. And my subscriber number is going up. I should do the same thing to Pinterest. Who knows? Maybe I'll do it to MySpace. I don't think so. I don't think that's worth my time. But who knows? Who knows now? We live in this Wild West, right? Gordon, you're right, though. Reshaping your strategy, including your newsletter. The newsletter, I can't say enough things about. And see, here's the thing. People get bogged down in the newsletter thing. They think, oh, my God, but it's so much writing. But it doesn't have to be. We've talked about how you do this, create 4 article topics. Actually, write out maybe 10 of them. Different, I don't want to say topics, but different segments. This is a top 10 list. This is my favorite bookshop. This is letter from the editor. And then this is, a review. Okay, 4 sections. Write out 10 of those types of things and then rotate them in. Which ones do you want to use? And then if you put your newsletter out once a month, pick 4, put them in, boom, you've got a newsletter. Just make sure for the window dressing on it, you have things like subscribe to my newsletter, listen to my podcast. Here's an ad for this. Throw that stuff as window dressing. And always look at it. Always go back and look at it and know what your purpose is. Is my purpose to grow my audience? Then make that the focus in the newsletter when you're putting in your buttons and your things, your little ads for yourself. Growing your newsletter. Make sure that on your website, like if you have MailChimp, you can actually go into MailChimp and there's a place where you can get code that goes directly into your MailChimp bucket and you can tell it what you want it to do, right? And you can put that on your landing page. So if you go to Southgate Media Group, after you're there for, I want to say it's 5 seconds, pop up. Join our newsletter. If they've joined it already, pop-up doesn't show up again from that IP. If they try a different computer, different IP, it's going to show up. But see, that's the kind of stuff when you're including your newsletter in the mix, Think about those things and how useful and powerful they can be, how they can help you with your SEO, how they can help get people interested in what you're doing. If you're writing compelling stuff and you start going like, well, this one takes a little bit of extra, this live thing takes more effort than me writing 300 words. Okay, maybe that becomes the paid tier. Once I've crossed over, I have 100 followers. I'm going to put a $3 paid tier. If you want my live videos, it's $3 a month. Is that going to make you a fortune? No. Is it going to do something? Yeah. Tell you what, a little money in the coffer does drive you. When we try to do it with Patreon, and maybe that's your strategy, maybe Patreon is your strategy. We tried it, and it did work somewhat, but that is a game in and of itself too that I never really bought into. Even though I really like Patreon, I like the idea. I didn't to grow there. It didn't work necessarily for me. And I even interviewed. There's an episode I think of New Media Lab where I interview somebody who's like a marketing person from Patreon, and we talk all about it. Tells you how to do it. It's really good. In fact, maybe I should do a new one. It's been 6 years. Any other questions? I thought I was going to have students show up today. I invited my students, but I invited them last minute. I figure it's safer to do that. If I tell them a week in advance, like, "Hey, I do this show, and here's the link and everything," by the time the day hits, it's like, if I send it to them 10 minutes before the show, they go, "Oh, what's this?" Click. I have been experimenting with that, and what I found is booking this out ahead of time and marketing it, like sending out invites, doesn't seem to do a heck of a lot. But if I wait too long, nobody shows up. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this show is going to continue as a live show, or if I'm just going to do it on the Substack, make it its own animal there, and then create these things like get a topic, talk about it for a while, and then send it out as a newsletter, post it as a video. I don't know. I don't know. There's so many options. All right. It is 8:52. I think we're going to end early today, unless you guys have any questions. I think I've talked this thing out. Don't want to start a new topic unless you guys have one. We'll be back next week, barring anything weird happening, which things happen. Here we go. The Players Umpires Association. Have you tried TikTok? Hi. You don't have to say sorry you're new here. Have I? Oh, hey, Pierre. You're here too. We got another. Okay, great. I'm not going to end early. I'll keep talking to you guys. Have I tried it? Yeah. Here's the deal. I actually think, okay, forget all the mess that's going on with it, right? If it was sticking around, I actually really like it now. I'm seeing what it can do. The problem is government interference. It's about to go away, because not because of our government, but because of China, because of the way they are using the data. And this has been a problem from when it started. I knew marketers that would not go near it because of all that. And I'm like, just like I'm saying with Facebook and that, I'm seeing this potential of like, oh man, I see the writing on the wall. Do not put all your eggs in this basket. Now, let's go back to when you said, have you tried TikTok? I've experimented with it a little bit. I've been a lurker. Yeah, I think that it could be really great. But what's the next format or what's the next platform that's going to let you do it? Right now, no. If you had asked me a week ago, I would have said TikTok likely is going to get shut down. Go to Instagram and use those reels. Now, because of what's happening with Meta, where they're taking the rails off of everything as far as fact checking, it's going to become not as viable a platform. Okay. So who's the next one that has video? Well, They do have video reels, short reels on YouTube. And from my experience, from watching how our YouTube channel works, when I post a short reel, because I've done it for this show, I've done only a couple of them, but now it's going to be a regular part of the diet here, right? They get like 10 times more views. These little short 30-second clips. I take this show, I take 4 clips out of it, and I put them on as 30-second clips, and it gets more views than the regular show. So is YouTube the viable answer? Maybe. Maybe the other option, this has been interesting, is putting it in your newsletter, making your video, doing the same type of thing, putting it in your newsletter. Now, okay, I'm getting further from TikTok. TikTok is quick, short, scroll through, and your newsletter is not doing that. You as video content creators, you might get more juice doing it that the way I'm talking about, but for the TikTok experience, I don't know who's going to step into that void. But I think that the short form video stuff can be really, really effective, especially the more you learn about it. If you start learning about like how to use the keywords, how to follow the trends, all that kind of stuff, it really, really, truly can work. Great insight. Thank you. I think TikTok will likely stay, and Meta is moving towards a non-censorship platform. It's not going to. Okay, you didn't hear the first part of the conversation. It might. Okay, and the no censorship platform thing. The problem is the backlash already. So some people are going to really like that, and some people are going to go, "Wait a minute, it's getting abused," and they're out. And what I've been experiencing is a lot of people that I'm friends with and that I follow that I never thought would be leaving are posting, okay, I'm off to Blue Sky, no more Meta. And they're literally packing their bags and going. And I'm like, whoa, they didn't wait to see what happens. So I'm nervous about that as a viable marketing platform. And for TikTok, I don't know if it's going to stay. You know, they're gonna shut it down here. I think what's going to happen is somebody's going to step into that void. There's going to be a different platform that's going to overtake it. Just like happened with Meerkat, just like what happened with Periscope, just like what happened with MySpace and Vine. I mean, Vine was TikTok before TikTok. Vine is gone. Okay. Vine was a splash when it hit. It just didn't have quite the same infrastructure as TikTok. TikTok has a good name. You hear it, it gets you kind of like, oh, fun. It's a fun name. But I don't know if that platform is going to stay. We shall see. If it turns back on, because it is going to shut off this weekend from what everything I've heard, comes back on, keep it in your mix. See what happens. Keep trying. But you could also use that content other places. I hope that helped. Pierre, do you think investors like Frank McCord could pull off a rebuilt TikTok or other platforms will have an advantage? McCord thinks it will take a year to rebuild a TikTok community. Yeah. Do I think? God, it's so hard. I mean, you're talking predictions. I think Frank McCord could pull off a rebuild. The problem is, I don't think it's going to rebuild to the point it was at, even in a year. It would have to be turned on so fast that it almost feels like it's not gone. Because once it goes, so many people are going to delete it off their app. They're going to have to heavily, heavily, heavily promote it to try to get viewers back. And the trust might be broken at that point. Or somebody else steps into the fold and has a slightly better way of doing it. The public is fickle. So investing in that, I don't know. I mean, look what happened with X. I mean, X is a cautionary tale. They thought by, taking away the censorship and blah 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 that it was going to be good, but it actually turned out to not be the right thing. Yeah, there are people still there. Yeah, there are some of you that are probably going like, "Yeah, heck, man, it's the best." That's not the pulse of the country. That's not the pulse of the viewer. It's dead. It's dead. There's a lot of people in there, but they're not. I mean, what do I have? 140 Twitter accounts because of our podcast network. They're all dead. I'm closing all of them down because when I was experimenting with posting things there and trying to do a little bit more, I was finding there was nothing. It was bots. It's full of bots and misinformation. I'm like, yep, I can't market here because if I say my book is the best, people go, bot. Okay, let's look at these two things. Pierre, true about trust. Threads grew, but had Instagram audience to leverage. Yeah. And Threads, because it's part of Meta, I haven't seen the exodus happen yet, but talk to me in 2 weeks. Let's see if there's been a mass exodus. There probably is going to be some, like Threads might be a dead platform. It might be dead in the water right now. Blue Sky has taken the crown, and we'll see if Blue Sky can pull it off. I hope so. I like having these platforms, and I like using them for marketing and all that. But you as a marketer, you as a company, as an entrepreneur, need to think outside of the box. You need to think away from just doing that same old social media thing, right? I may be wrong about how these things are going to shake down. That's fine. I don't care. Great. I hope I am. I hope it all blossoms. I hope TikTok comes roaring back. I hope Facebook and Instagram and Threads are super viable and it's like things are not toxic. Maybe even X becomes something again. I would love it because it's all places we can market and connect, and that's what it's about. But long term, it is shaky sand. Things like email lists, SEO on your website, making a podcast, doing video content that you can manipulate so that no matter what the platform is, platform doesn't matter. You have the content, you can build the audience. If you build it, they will come. Okay, wait. I want to see what this says. Players, umpires. Based on experience, what audience have you reached and what was your best strategy? Come on, man. It's 9:02. That is going to be pertinent to whatever you're doing. So that's a big question, and it's pertinent to you. So here's my suggestion. This is going to sound like a cop-out, but I'm going to say it. You can contact me. You can contact me through YouTube, through Facebook, through this. Go to the website, Southgate Media Group. You could go to Southgate Small Business. You could go to the podcast profs, any of those. Wherever it's got an email, it's going to me. Okay. So there's like literally a few hundred places that when you look at the email address, it doesn't say my name, but you click on it, it goes to me. Okay. So go ahead and write to me. Write to Rob at SMG Pods. There, I just threw that one out. And let's set up a free consultation to talk about your organization, what you're doing, and see if I can't give you a little insight. The free consultation, I pour it out. I mean, Gordon, you had one. You can tell them. We talk about it. I pour it out. If I can help solve a problem in that free consultation, I'm going to do it. If it turns out that it's something that you need, like, yeah, my group needs guidance. My group needs to hire a consultant. Then we talk about that. Okay. And I make it work for you. What I mean by that is if I have somebody who's like, yeah, I want to bring my team in and I want to have 1 hour, 1 hour and a half group consultation where they can ask you questions. Great. We'll do that. If you want to do a full like coaching or consulting thing, I do programs and we figure out what you need. So when you say, what's your best strategies? I mean, I can sit here and tell you all sorts of things that we've done, things that work, but I don't know if they're going to work for you. Does that make sense? I like to talk to you and figure out what's going to work for you. What I do with this show is I try to give big oversight ideas, get you thinking about it, get you trying things, because marketing is really about trying, right? I do this with my classes, right? I tell my classes marketing is not an A to B. I do this, here's the result. It's not an exact science. Yes, you can get to points where, yeah, I seem to be manipulating it. It is kind of working that way, but it's never a sure thing. It is never, I put the red food coloring in the water and it turns red. That works today. Tomorrow, I put the red food coloring in as a marketer and it turned green or it didn't change. Well, shoot. I have to have all the options. I have to constantly be looking for options to turn the water red. Makes a lot of sense. Just curious about your personal experience. My personal experience covers so many different things. Here, I'll give you a quick, and then we're out of here. We're going over time. It's going to have to go to Substack Live next week. Yes, Pour Over Marketing on Substack, and we'll be doing it live. Okay, I'll try to answer it quickly. So, without knowing I was doing integrated marketing, I was doing integrated marketing. We had our podcast network where I'm executive producer of 150 different shows. In that executive producer role, I was also doing like most of the marketing. The things that seemed to work best were joining Facebook groups specific to the topics that we were going after. I would make sure that I was embedded in that group. So it wasn't just like, hey, promotion. It was, they know who I am. I'm answering things, I'm doing things, and it's getting me into the group. So that now when I post something, people listen. Okay. That's one thing. Sending out newsletters started working for me pretty well way back then. And it's why even today I'm a big proponent. Get a newsletter, design that thing out, work actively to grow the audience. So it's an umpires association. You're at ball games. Have a booth that says sign up for our newsletter and tell them what the value is to that newsletter. Because if they think they're just getting an advertisement, that's not going to do it. If they think, wow, it's got interviews with players, it's like exclusive interviews, it's got video clips, it's got whatever, they start seeing the vision of what you're doing. Tips. People love tips, right? I'll tell you what, with the newsletter I'm doing for Pour Over Marketing, for Mic Drop. Mic Drop is my podcast profs one where I talk about podcast stuff. What seems to be working better than even when I give advice is putting top 5 Latino podcasts I found, top 5 paranormal podcasts I found. Those are getting all the shares. People are way into that. It's like, okay. They like when I give the advice, like these are the ones I think are the best. Probably because I also then talk about here's why, or here's what to look for. Here are the things I take away from it. So when we start talking about the strategy, you've got to go back, go through what each of the categories are, whether it's social media, whether it's direct marketing, whether it's video content, each of the different things, and figure out what you can put in each of those buckets and which ones you think my audience isn't going to be in. Okay. That's why I liked TikTok, because originally TikTok seemed like, oh no, that's not going to be where my audience is. But the more I looked at it, the more I was like, wait a minute, the audience is absolutely there for just about anything. Whereas Facebook, if you're not in the groups, if you haven't found a specific group, it's not there. You're in trouble. I talk about X. Just before X, when Twitter became X, I was doing all this stuff with tabletop gaming. And what I found was the greatest social media tool for that were taking out the stuff that I know, the Pinterest, the newsletters, and all that stuff. Social media-wise, Twitter was the best. It had this weird, phenomenal community that was sharing and engaging like crazy. They were doing it on other platforms, but for whatever reason, Twitter was like on fire with this. It became X, and I'm telling you, within like 2 weeks, a lot of it was gone. So when we say, yeah, but it's going to do this, it's going to do, we can have our predictions, but I've seen it when the rug pulls out, it's hard to get it back. So McCord is going to have a hard time bringing TikTok back unless they act very quickly and ensure people your stuff is safe. All right, I think I gave all the answers. Thank you, guys. I'll be here next Saturday, barring anything weird happening. Things happen. If they do, just pay attention to, ironically, the Facebook page for New Media Lab. That's where I post this and say, okay, sorry, I wasn't here this week, or I'll be here next week. Follow the Substack. I'm going to start, since I'm doing it weekly, I'm going to start putting on there when there's going to be an episode. Yeah, I mean, just follow the stuff. I'm fine tuning all those things because my stuff was so broad and had so many aspects. I told you I'm pruning. So stay with me in the pruning process. We're going to make it easier and easier and easier and easier. And I'm not going to have all the eggs in one basket, which I don't now, but I'm not going to say it's all on Facebook. There's going to be so many places you can engage with this and encounter this. All right, guys. And if you have questions, write to me because that's what this show is about. It's an AMA. So write to me, and on the next episode, we'll talk about it. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great weekend. Stay warm. If you're in the Midwest, it's a cold one. It's like Groundhog Day. It's a cold one out there. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.